Hi, I'm Kathu, welcome on my channel. This is my contribution to the famous tag 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 tarot created by Kelly Bear. The principle is quite nice because it's free enough, and I love when challenges or tags are quite free. We can choose what speaks to us. So there will be 5 tarot decks, 4 books, and so on and so on. Like for example, 5 decks, but I'm going to choose a type of decks that I want to speak to you about. And same for the books. Well, that's going to be a bit less original. That would be 5 books that I'm actually reading right now, kind of tarot related, and so on and so forth. You are going to see that right now. So let's go with the tarot decks. The thing is, whenever I am making a video in English, and most of my videos are in French, I'm trying to bring you something that maybe you would see less of in the English-speaking world. The reason why I have chosen to speak about some decks, indie decks, that are created by French speakers from Canada, Belgium, or France, mainly, I think. I'm going to start with this one. It's the first edition of Le Tarot des Paysages Intérieurs. If it's complicated for you to understand my French, please check out the names below. So basically it's the tarot of inner landscapes. Camille is the creator. She uses oil paints. So it's what I love the most in tarot decks. It's when there's as little as possible digital work on the deck. I'm really not fond of digital work. I like here the texture and the density and the relief, we would say in French, but relief doesn't sound that good in English. Maybe it offers me a sense of relief, but well, relief, I mean the perspective, and it's the layers and everything. it really speaks to me. I also love that it's obviously not abstract, but there's a sense of abstraction to it. Oh my god, it's not catching the light very well, is it? Oh, that's way worse. Okay, I hope it will render well on camera, on the screen for you. I'm not quite sure. I love the tones of grey, green, I don't know, it's really evokes to me the North Sea, especially the Belgian coast of the North Sea. It's really speaking to me, and I'm not able, I don't live that far from the North Sea, but I'm not able to travel there so much because, well, it's expensive to travel anyway, even when it's close to your place. So, I don't know, the North Sea in winter, it's just such a magical place, and place for inner work and inner reflection, as well as communion with the elements and the sea, which I really love. And although it's a deck that is created from someone who lives in southern France, I really get this North Sea vibe that I really love. And that's funny because the artist told me, when I said that in a video in French, that her teacher also told her that there was something about the deck that was very North Sea. So that's quite astonishing and strong, I guess. So we have minors that are inspired by the RWS system, but as you can see, it's very inventive. It is not in any way traditional Waite Smith system. Well, maybe a bit more here with the 8 of Cups. I'm sorry, the cards are not glossy for real, but really, well, lightly glossy, but not that much. It's a first edition, so you have to check out. I think the second one is borderless anyway. Maybe it's not the same paper, but just because it's so dark outside and I'm not using my LED light, I'm working with a normal desk lamp. It's not giving what I need from it. So anyway, classical RWS, but not classical, original, revised RWS inspired minors, and majors are more inspired by the Marseille system, and it's something that's very common to a lot of French speaker artists, especially when they are from France. You will see that there's clearly an inspiration from the Marseille one way or another. So bâtons are wands, coupe are cups, pentacle are pentacles. So it's quite easy to follow along once you have the gist of it, if you don't speak French. Épée are for swords, and also you see the swords are quite clear, you know, it's not, you can't miss it. Pentacles here, the discs are quite clear as well. And for the French names of the major, I think most of you would know it. So here we have the Marseille version, l'amoureux, the lover, singular, la lune, the moon. It's not difficult to translate, right? It's always easy in, with the tarot. Reine for queen. And yeah, I think it's quite easy to follow along even if you don't speak French. Roue de fortune is wheel of fortune, temperance, tempérance. It's the same, l'étoile. Oh. For the star. What can I say about this deck to make you fall in love more? Well, not much actually, because I haven't been using it so much, not as much as I would have wanted to. And it has such a winter vibe for me, a winter introspective vibe that it's okay. I use it very little, but I will be able to, and I had it during the summer, so I guess I will have to tell you more on my channel from the winter on, maybe in the spring, to tell you what the work has been like with it in the winter. So inspiring. It's very, I can't think of another deck that's able to conjure up the spirits of the Northern Sea here. Well, I don't know, when I'm not there. I can think, I like to go to the seaside with many decks, but a deck that makes me think of the sea here, our local seaside, just from its creativity, yeah, it's the only one. It's very therapeutic for me to be going to the beach in the winter time. So anyway, I have to keep on moving, otherwise the video is going to be much too long. So the deck is more square than usual tarot deck, but it's quite thin, so it's easy to shuffle and to work with. Look at that, love it. Oh god, oh my god, no, actually I shouldn't be doing that. My usual corner shuffling, oh, it's went back to its place, but it's way too supple for me to be, it's too flexible. Okay, good to know. Okay. My god. Well, it's independently produced, locally produced, and it doesn't come with a box because the creator thought that many of us use self-made bags. Those are made by my wife, by the way. So in order to avoid pollution and waste, she delivers them only in a craft paper, which honestly is just fine for me. Hopefully it's a bit better with the ceiling light as well. Well, I have a video in French to introduce the deck, and it was filmed during the summer, so when the daylight was quite okay. So if you want to see more, a video where the light quality is better and you can see the cards better, please refer to this video over there. It's in French, but you can still enjoy the deck, right? Okay, another deck that is independent and with a wonderful creator as well, by H. Estrella, is the Estrella Tarot. Tarot Marseille modern Marseille deck. God, I love her work. Ash, if you are watching us, you know it, but it's worth repeating, right? This is a gift by the creator, and I have to warn you that she gave it to me because there were some problems in the printing, and the linen cardstock didn't absorb the colors as it should. So at some places in the deck the colors aren't quite right, but rest assured, if you were to buy it, you wouldn't get this printing error version. It's not for sale. You would get a perfectly colorful deck if you were to order it. It's a Marseille, and I have struggled to find Marseille's decks that I would have wanted to use before. So, and I had bad experience with the Marseille system because it's so popular in French-speaking Europe, Western Europe, and also heavily inspired by some writers on the topics that are, to say the least, very sexist. And yeah, Jodorowsky is who I mean. So I have never managed to get into the spirit of the Marseille. And this is the one. And also, when people are coming up with Marseille's Tarot de Marseille in a different style, then it's usually only major, so 22 cards, and I can't work with 22 cards. No way, it doesn't work for me at all. So always passed on the Marseille, was very heavily biased against it actually, but with this deck I really want to learn. It was on my schedule for the summer, but my summer didn't go according to the plan, so maybe it will be my winter activity to learn more about the Marseille system in a less French way. I mean, I plan to buy Tom Benjamin's book. By the way, Ash also wrote a guidebook to her deck, which is amazing, and a very solid basic book to learn the Marseille and to work with her deck as well. It's available for download online, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, what can I say? Well, it's digital work. It's not, obviously it's not my favorite kind of illustration work, but I do love the colors. I love the worlds that Ash is able to create in her decks, and I don't know, it's playful, it's always a bit sexy what she does, and I love that as well. I'm here for it. Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing deck, but as I said, my summer didn't go according to the plan, so I have not had enough time to explore it as I would like to, because when I get to know it, I also need to work quite hard to work with the Marseille in a way that makes me feel free enough to create my own system and my own understanding. Let's move on with Le Tarot Souverain, Souveraine, because as you know, the French language is quite gendered, and it's very difficult to ungender our language. So Tarot Souveraine is gender neutral in a way, so souverain would be masculine and souveraine would be feminine, and it's annoying as hell in French, but here we have a creator who chose to use inclusive writing, so-called inclusive writing, écriture inclusive, in order to make this deck non-binary, because they are non-binary, and this is an eco-feminist non-binary deck. Emmanuel Lafontaine is the author. The creator. Someone that I know in real life as well. It's an artivist, as you can see, and you have a little guidebook that comes with it. Again, it's not too difficult to follow along if you don't speak French, but if you need some help with the translation, I would invite you to see the review that was made by Aquamarine Tarot, Aquamarine 18 Tarot. So I will be linking it down below. It was really nice and really cool. Enfant, child of air, here you have. So child is obviously, I'm missing the word in English, page. There's something, what can I find? Sage would be the king. Feu is fire, obviously. Rebel is for knights, and the queens are in a gender neutral revising of the name. Let's check. Let's find the queen somewhere. Can you see one? Adults. So grown up, adult. Right, okay. So it's a deck that's working on sovereignty in the food sovereignty worldwide. Do we have an explanation here? La souveraineté alimentaire, so food sovereignty, de la terre au soir, from the earth to, or from the soil maybe, to the self. It's clearly an activist deck, but very, very good at linking the personal and the political. So here you see, in white we have the majors, 2 would be the high priestess, and here it is the prophetess, and prophetess is high priestess, and it's a seer or a prophet in English. Obviously the chef, but it's a chef like maybe you know, in French chef goes for boss or leader or things like that, but it's also a chef, like a chef in English, like someone who cooks. So here we have the reference to the cooking, obviously, but it's also a play on the word, like you can hear it, like, yeah, it's a chef, a cook, chef, but it could also be, you know, like the boss. Terre, so as you can see, the minor refers to the elements. I'm not going to say much more because there would be a lot to say. Here you have the moon, has not been renamed, but devil has been. It's not diable, but tentatrice. Tentateur, tentatrice, which would be temptator. Does it work in English? So someone who is bringing the temptation to you. Let's check more major, right? Philosopher for the hermits. Movement for the chariots. Sovereign for empress, sorry. Force doesn't change. Strength, obviously. Hecate, the goddess Hecate here stands for death. What a beautiful deck. Do I need to talk about the technique? Of course I do. It's lino graver. Lino. How do you say in English? Gosh! Oh, I'm getting tired. Lino cuts, lino stems, lino work, whatever. I will try to say it. So meltdown, effondrement, you can translate as meltdown, or how do you call that? Effondrement théorie, les théories de l'effondrement. God, oh, I'm getting tired. I know the word. Of course I know. I will be writing it on my video just here so you can follow along. It's very activist, eco-feminist, trans deck, and fat friendly, body positive, or body neutral. There's a lot of connection between different kind of struggles, social movements at least, and it's very social justice oriented. And I can't say much more because it would be way too long, but it's a very, very beautiful deck that I invite you to discover on Emmanuel Fontaine, the artist's website. Next is this gem of a deck, and it's also an eco-feminist and a non-binary deck, Tarot Ultraviolet. I have more videos on this deck in French if you want to watch it. Obviously, it's always possible to follow my videos in French as well, even if you don't speak French, because you have the automatic translation with YouTube. That's not that bad. That's not excellent, but it's not that bad. Okay. What can I say? It's digital, but it's, you know, it's working on a graphic tablet. So the creator, La Violette, they worked, you know, on, well, they draw it, you know, on the tablet and then worked the colors, I guess, digitally. They've been creating around tarot zines, for example, for many, many years. And I really do adore their approach. As you can see, it's a much bigger deck. much bigger. And quite wide as well, very difficult for me to handle, but there's very good card quality, so it's easy to mix using my methods. Well, not right now, but I'm trying to watch my screen to see if I'm right in the framework, and it's not that easy. The diable here, as you can see, with the devil, we also have notes to the Marseille illustrations in the majors, and also, well, it's inspired by both the Marseille and the RWS. Some are more RWS inspired, I think, and others maybe make me think a bit more of the Marseille. Here you have, as well, like for the other decks, very strong color schemes in the minors in every suit. So my favorite color for swords is also purple, so that's perfect. Here we have more greenish tones for the pentacles, all colors of the spectrum, like ultraviolet in the majors. As you can see, there's a renaming as well in the card cards with Pilgrim as page. Sorry, I'm really tired. So there's also écriture inclusive, inclusive writing, so not heavily gendered writing that we usually see in French. Prophets is for kings. Very beautiful cards. We have the Golden Dawn astrological correspondences with the suit numerical suit cards. Anyway, it's very inclusive and with a lot of body diversity deck. Guide of Pentacles stands for the Knight. Oh, I love this card. The Knight of Pentacle needs to be a fat butch. You didn't know it before, now we know it. Right? Okay, I love it. I just adore it. I have not been using this deck as much as I would love to, because I have to be honest, some of the minor cards I find quite hard to read. Not here, the Eight of Wands. That's a bad example. This one is easy as well. But some of them, including here, the Three of Cups, I have a harder time trying to understand what the artist wants to convey with it. And because it's not pippish, but there's not so much going on in the cards, it's hard to find something to grab my attention and my attention and my intuition to understand the cards. And on some of them, it can be really difficult. So I don't know, for example here, the Five of Wands, the Five of Swords. It's not the first one I see with this type of illustration, but it's a type of illustration that I kind of struggle to understand. Nine of Pentacles is really nice, but I don't know, I would like maybe a bit more in order for me to be able to work with it as much as I would want to. So what I mean here is not that I don't like it or that I will never be able to work with it, but I need some serious time with this deck only or mainly for many weeks maybe in order to create a stronger bond with the cards that I struggle with. Some are really limpid, really easy to read, and others, oh, when I have them in a spread or in a reading, I'm like, oh God, what am I gonna say? And it's really not flowing for me sometimes. And I need to make this deck a flowing deck for me because it's so beautiful and so important and so feminist and so queer, and I love it. I adore it. It's yes, that was Tarot Ultraviolet. Apart from making decks that are supposed to be complete but are only 22 cards, so that I don't like to use, what French speakers also love to do is to use tarot name quite liberally. So sometimes an oracle deck is a tarot deck for them, and sometimes it doesn't work. For example, here I have this tiny beautiful oracle deck, Tarot Révélateur. Let me just show you quickly, because it's not going to be the one I'm going to be showing actually. This is from my butch. She keeps many things in her tarot bags. Okay, so the one I'm going to show you is called Tarot de la Dévotion, or Tarot of Devotion in English. It's out of print. There was both a French version and English version. It was by Le Page Novembre. Do check out their work anyway. The deck is an original non-gendered 40 cards inspired by medieval churches and pagan devotion. Really, really amazing, this deck. This is only the box. It's called a tarot. It's not a tarot deck, but still it works because we have suits. This is the pilgrim suit, for example. It's also very diverse when it comes to bodies, which is something I love. This is the sort of like the major arcana, part of the major arcana, which also have subdivisions, if I'm not mistaken. Pilgrim again. Pilgrim again. Those are, oh yeah, it's part of a special major arcana. Look at this, so beautiful. So in the major we are inspired by glass, stained glass, vitraux, stained glass things like from the churches, and here we have frescoes. Fresque. Okay. Major, I think, bonus card. So here with the knife we have the witches suits. Okay. This is a pilgrim, because you have the candle there, and here we have oh, the knights. The knight is the last of the minor suits. Okay. So I have the French version, I guess. Is there another version? Or I think most names are actually working both in French and in English, which is a very good work from the artist, right? Oh, so it's an amazing oracle deck. That's called a tarot deck, but I had to cheat because I don't have enough indie decks by French speakers. When it comes to tarot decks, I have some oracle decks, but I wanted to show you tarot, so it's not a tarot, but it's called a tarot deck, so I can call it. I can cheat that way, I guess. So anyway, what can I say about it? Oh la la. It's a potent devotional deck. I mean, to be using in Western Europe or in connection with Western European traditions of paganism meets the church, like medieval inspired. It works really well in this context. I don't know. For me, yeah, I've been. No, I have not been. When I was using it, and I'm not using it at the moment, it's in my Butch's collection. I was using it as when I was using it, I used it, right, how does it work, grammar, I don't know. I used it more as devotional deck, and a very spiritual deck, in what was then my polytheist practice, more like, yeah, polytheist work. That's the way that I use it. Look at the back of the cards here. I had another version as well. The first edition was linen, but this is the only edition that we have in our home at the moment. A very, very beautiful work of art from this artist, honestly, but I can't say much more because I have not been using this deck for only sporadically, like once a year or something, for the past, I guess, 4 years maybe. So I used it a lot during a couple of years, and then it was just not that much part of my practice, which is absolutely not a judgment on the quality of the deck, but more something related to my own personal practice, I guess. Okay, we're done with the tarot decks, and it's time for me to take a break because clearly my English is leaving me. For my 4 books, I'm going for 4 tarot related kind of tarot related books that I've been reading lately. I rarely read only one book cover to cover. I tend to have a lot of books that I'm juggling with. I don't really care to finish a book when it comes to most of the books that I'm reading, not all of them. So I always have, yeah, several books that I'm juggling with, pure Gemini style here. And for me, and I hope for you too, reading about tarot doesn't necessarily mean reading purely tarot books, but all kinds of things that are going to nourish my tarot practice, my tarot understanding, and my tarot readings. And actually it's mostly things that are not purely tarot related that are going to help my culture, my general knowledge, and my knowledge in general when it pertains to tarot. And one more detail that I need to share here is that with my chronic illness, it's much easier for me to listen to audiobooks rather than purely reading. So that means that I'm not able to show you most of my books because they are on my phone, and my phone is filming right now. So let's go with my little list. This is a tarot book, the first one that I'm gonna name, and I dropped out. It's a fail for me. As you know, tarot icon Rachel Pollack passed away this year. And there was a revised version of one of her classics that was published quite quickly after her death. It's called A Walk Through the Forest of Souls, a tarot journey to spiritual awakening. It's very imbued with Jewish mysticism and other, all kinds of mythologies, especially Egyptian, I thought. And it's tarot related, but also going all over the place with mythology and playing with theological texts and bringing things on top of it, bringing analysis, something that's probably very related also to her Jewish culture and to the Jewish tradition of analyzing and adding to cultural and religious texts. And at first I really enjoyed listening to the audiobook, but at some point she really lost me. She just lost me. I couldn't relate, I couldn't follow. Also the narrator was terribly annoying, which is also sadly often happens with audiobooks. Was just like, that was interesting for the part I listened to, well, I guess 4 or 5 chapters or maybe even more, but it was there was no point for me to finish that book. So this is not a review. I'm not telling if it's a good book or not. It was just not for me. After a certain point in the book, I was definitely not able to yeah, my learning process had stopped actually, because it was becoming too religious for me, I guess, and I'm certainly not a fan of monotheist religions, because I was brought up in a Catholic family, and somehow this gets me, my level of interest for this kind of things suddenly drops sometimes, so I dropped out from that book. Now I'm also listening to a new book, a new release. It's Radical Tarot by the tarot creator that we all love, I guess, the Fifth Spirit Tarot creator. I was going to take my box from the from the mass market edition of the Fifth Spirit Tarot book, tarot deck, mass market tarot deck, but I gave it to a friend yesterday, so I'm just gonna take the book from the independent version of the Fifth Spirits. Since I don't have the book that I'm actually talking about, I loved this book by Claire Burgess. It's a guidebook from the Fifth Spirit tarot deck. So I was really looking forward to Radical Tarot, clear the cards, liberate your practice, and create your future. I was looking forward to this book. So I got it, I pre-ordered it and got the audio version as soon as it was out. The few first chapters were interesting, but I didn't learn anything, maybe because I'm already familiar with the author's work, and also was kind of basic, but you would expect a tarot book to also have the basics so that it's friendly to all levels. But now I've been listening to the first chapters about the major arcana cards, so the Fool, the Magician. I'm in the middle of the High Priestess chapter, and I'm enjoying it. It dives further than this one that was already quite well researched and well written. So yeah, at first I thought also, oh, that was what was radical for me as an understanding, as a perspective about on tarot not a couple of years ago, several years ago, when I started developing my own, influenced by many others, of course, understanding of how to queer the tarot. But when I started this reading, I was like, oh, but for me now, I guess what is interesting, what is radical as a tarot perspective is maybe something that is more animistic, or at least less anthropocentric. So I thought, oh, humans. But I'm a history geek. I actually studied history at the university back then, many years ago, and there are a lot of references that I enjoy, I love the perspective, and I thought, okay, maybe it's not my dream book, and somehow I had this vision that it could be my perfect tarot book, because this one was to me when I read it maybe 4 years ago or something. But now I'm at a different stage, so it's probably not going to be my favorite tarot book, but it's definitely going to be, I think, from what I know so far, a book that I would consider basics for everybody who's interested to go further than conventional takes on the cards and traditional cartomancy and so on, and to go also to investigate. And every tarot nerd, à mon avis, for me, every tarot nerd should be reading this book. So yeah, but I'm still at the beginning of it. Well, not so far into it, but I'm enjoying it. This weekend I just finished a book and it was amazing. I really loved it. It's by Risa Dickens and Amy Toror, and it's called New Moon Magic: 13 Anti-Capitalist Tools of Resistance and Re-enchantment. Yeah, there you got it. You have resistance and you have re-enchantment in the card, and I want to. I'm aspiring to this re-enchantment. Well, not that I am aspiring. I think it's something that the world needs, and not just something that I'm aspiring to. But also maybe, I guess, it's everybody needs it. It was very, very cool. Also kind of nerdy book from two podcasters. It's their second books, and I don't know, I didn't know anything about it. I just saw it coming back on social media, and I thought, oh, interesting. Just bought it on an impulse, started to listen to it right away. I would say that the New Moon title might be misleading, because even though there's a chapter for each moon, it's not so much focused on the moon or on the astrological aspect of things, or not something I can really relate to it, or I can relate to astrology, but maybe not this approach. But it's more about the tools, the tools. My accent is weird. The tools that we can use as witches, or as the broadest meaning of what's understanding of what a witch can be. So there's a chapter, for example, about knife, about music, about art, about words, about, God, I'm freezing right now, but anti-capitalist for many reasons, but also because it's free to use. It's something that anybody can use without taking part to a consumerist, witchy or tarot culture. It's not tarot specific at all, but it was very enriching for me as a tarot reader. I love to read books that are more about the craft, about witchcraft in general. It was very nice to listen to it during a month or so, and yeah, I don't have much else to say, but I would definitely recommend it. And then the last book that I'm going to mention, I'm not foreign to it, but I know the authors were quite well, and I was very waiting for this one, waiting to find it in French, because I actually find the academic language of Silvia Federici, quite dry, uninspiring for me at least. So reading in it English, I would like the concentration to read it. And for academic works, I have to say, sometimes it's much easier to read the translation, especially when it's translated by a great feminist translator, as recent work by Federici has been. And the word in French is Re-enchanter le monde, le féminisme et la politique des communs, which in English would give Re-enchanting the world, feminism and the politics of the commons. For me, it's that I love everything about Federici. Well, everything that I've read many, well, the classical Caliban and the Witch is something that everybody should read. Of course, it's rather academic, but yeah, I mean, you have to commit to read this book, but it's an amazing book. And I'm really interested about the commons, commonality, enclosure of the land, but also of knowledge and yeah, when it comes to university, the academic as well. And there are so many domains that can be covered by the reflection that we can have on the commons, and not the reflection is one thing, but also, and especially the actions that we have also against privatization and so on. And so it's so important also to the way that anybody should read tarot, but you do, but the way that I read tarot, and also I commit to share about tarot also through zines and free content, although I share them on YouTube. So it's very much important for my path as an creatrix around tarot. And yeah, I have a lot to read. It's very eclectic what Federici writes, because there's the historical aspect of things, the economics, of course, the feminist Marxist and materialistic analysis. There's the more cultural analysis of things, but it's always very material, because she's a Marxist feminist, and it's very much influenced, well, of course, I don't know what to say. So there's so much that I could be saying about Federici and why we should all read it. Let me just catch a few of my books. So here we have the famous Caliban and the Witch, Femme, Corps et Accumulation Primitive. What's the title in English then? Caliban and the Witch. Oh, there's no undertitle. So women, body, and primitive accumulation. So it's about colonialism and capitalism and the witch hunt in general, not just in Western Europe or in Europe, but also quote unquote the New World. It's really interesting, but very big and long to read. For anyone who is interested to a more accessible version of her work, which is Witch Hunt and Women, I think there's a translation in French as well. If you're a French speaker who is listening to me right now, it's really cool, because it talks, I think, lectures that she gave to colleges, and also, I guess, to a broader audience. So there are some summary of her work on the witch. I'm getting really tired of speaking about books, but that would be my recommendation for anybody who starts with Federici. But for my 4 books, this wasn't it. This was the one that I'm currently reading. I'm only at page 35 on almost 300, but I will commit. It's so dark outside, so I'm trying my best. So then we have 3 spreads. That's tricky. That's a tricky question, because I don't use spreads. Well, I do, but I don't. I mean, I make them on the spot. Whenever I'm reading tarot for someone else, I can have a simple 1 to 4 cards reading, where I'm not assigning positions to the cards, That can happen, but most of the time I'm going to be working with a spread, but it's a spread that I'm going to design according to the situation. And when reading for myself, same. I have a few cards position that I like to use, and then when the moment comes to be reading tarot, I'm just gonna use that in any way that fits to the moment and the questions and so on. So it's gonna be hard for me. This one, I have chosen 3 things. Let me just get settled. So yeah, this is my solution to answer a question that I can't really answer. One of the spreads that I like to use, especially when I'm reading for other people, so I like to use a variation of a spread that I discovered when reading Little Red Tarot, the old blog. It doesn't really exist anymore, but I will reference to Beth's site anyway, so that you can check it out. And she had a zine as well, in which the spread was, but I'm not giving you something that is not meant to share. There was also a blog post that was available to anybody where you could find the spread. So it's called A Bridge, and I seem to remember that Beth was herself inspired by someone else who first designed this spread. And the way that it goes with the bridge is that you come from one point, maybe to be in the right, one point to another. I don't know which side you're gonna see on the camera, on the screen, that's why. And like, imagine that you are in the middle of a bridge and you're coming from somewhere and you're going somewhere. And often when we come to tarot, we are in these transitional times. And well, I guess for me, whenever I would give a reading to someone and order a reading for someone, or the kind of readings that I like to give to people is also so often when you're like either on the thresholds or in the middle of a longer journey and looking for answers or tools. So there would be a position in the middle on the bridge. That's where I am right now. There would be a position where I come from, and on the other side of the spectrum where I'm going. And then you can add all kinds of positions, like for example, a lesson I've learned from my journey so far. What are going to be my next step? What is the obstacle? What is the undercurrent? I think that's a classical spread as Beth would have designed it, if I'm remembering right. I'm not gonna go look for the zine, or we'll be here for many other hours. But I can adapt it to the situation of the person I'm reading for. So it could be, I don't know right now, but I never have the pure form of this spread. I'm always going to add and change things according to what are the needs. So yeah, I'm just giving you that right now because I don't have an example of my variations. And also I could be something that's maybe it's a bit more initiatic than the bridge. That's more like a big transition, that it's about the journey, and the thresholds is precisely the moment where you are like literally on the threshold. So you're like, okay, I'm going for the next step, but I'm still here between the words somehow, in this liminal space. And yeah, what do I need to know? What can I do? And for me, there's something a bit more spiritual maybe about this version of the spread. It's kind of the same, but I would say things like where I am right now, but what do I need to sacrifice as I'm taking this step? You know, what needs to be left behind? I would not do that if I was doing the bridge spread, but if I'm doing something like the threshold, that can be a position of where I'm coming from, where I could be going for. Also, maybe it's more open, because when you're on the threshold, things are ahead of you, but sometimes you're not so sure where you're going, whether on the opposite side of the thing. If you're crossing the bridge, you know exactly where you have every intention to go. On the other side, maybe there's going to be things coming up that are not going to be as planned, but you have a vision. And when you're on the threshold, the vision can be broader, and the thing is about what you have to leave behind, what kind of ritual you can do, what are your options. and what can help you to choose as well. What are your lies or your guides and such things. I mean, for me, the threshold would involve more of those positions. And how can you be grateful, maybe? How, or yeah, how can you? Yeah, it could be a ritual to find your way, but it's also a bit, or for protection, or for what you have to leave behind, and to make sure that you're leaving it behind. So this is a kind of, it's a more spiritual and ritualistic variation of the bridge. I don't know if the difference is clear, but it's the kind, it's definitely the kind of spread that I would, or the idea of a spread, the pattern, the bridge or the threshold, that I take as a starting point to design then a personal spread when I'm reading for other people. For myself, I can say that I'm doing a lot of those spreads because, you know, I'm more of a daily tarot reader, and I don't do so much of those big spreads with a lot of things. Maybe a couple of times a year, sometimes several times a month when things are big. But I mean, I don't know if it's clear, but I would say it's less something that I'm going to use for my personal practice. And if I need this kind of spread, then it's a sign that I would rather need someone else to make a reading for me. And so those are the spreads that I easily use when I'm reading for other people. And then something that I really like to use as well as for one card reading is an invitation. That's the position of the card that I like to use for my daily card readings, one card reading, daily spreads. It's what's the invitation for today, what am I invited to pay attention to, and so on. That's the kind of one card spread with simple phrase, key position, like an invitation for something, or for today, or for this walk that I'm taking, or for this video that I'm making. And this is something that I definitely take inspiration from Lindsay Mack and her Wise Soul Tarot method. I have to thank her and her classes for introducing me to this invitation one card reading, and I use it a lot, almost daily, for whatever. It's really nice. It's really inviting an energy, the archetype, the idea of a card into your life as an inspiration point as well. And it's very free, it's very helpful as well. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2. 2 tarot habits or paraphernalia. How do you pronounce it? I don't remember. I'm gonna go with the items, the things that are around my tarot practice. And first of all, you have noticed that I have a lot of tarot bags. My butch creates it for me. She sews it only by hand, so she doesn't use a machine. They are so precious and beautiful, of course. And at first it wasn't something that I was interested in for my tarot decks, but because she started making them, I started falling in love with them as much as I am in love with her. So yeah, that's certainly part of my tarot aesthetic somehow, practice, I don't know, yeah, because I take a lot of, I always have a deck with me wherever I go, and when I'm going on walks / pilgrimage / visiting a museum or going whatever I'm doing, I have them with me, and this is perfect for protection. If you keep them in their box, they're gonna be moving, it's gonna be making noise in your backpack, or it's gonna scratch the edges, and well, it definitely doesn't work for me. So I really love to have those little bags of every kind to take with me. Some of them are made with precious fabrics from great designers, and so yeah, and others like this one are upcycled fabrics, so yeah, that's definitely something that's cool. And then we have notebooks, of course. I use my notebooks for many things, but also like this one is, I call it my grimoire, but it's just my main notebook. I have a whole collection of it. I'm going to show it to you, and I would record my bigger spreads or weekly spreads or monthly spreads, and also gather a lot of cat hair. Now it's on me with it. Is there a page that I can show? It's a commonplace notebook. I really love also how it presents. I don't know. It's so very personal. What could I show you? Oh, what is it doing here? Okay, yeah, there's a pocket here where I can carry my cards with me wherever I'm going. Let me give an example, maybe. Oh. Yeah, here we have something. How can I show you? So this is my current grimoire, which is not really a grimoire, but I'll call it that if I want to. And those are the past one. I think the oldest one is from 2018. Okay, right. So this is the mess because I moved houses in the summer and clearly I'm not settled yet. And there you have a lot of my notebooks of the past probably 6 or 7 years, and a lot of them are also tarot related. I'm certainly not going into details right now because I already have several videos in French on the topic of my books, but here you go. I also have notebooks for the classes I'm taking, and this is a class by Lindsay Mack as well. Also this one. See, I'm doing a lot of things to make it nice. Also, I'm writing often in order to publish at some point, which, well, I'm very much behind with my blog, but voila. This is the one I'm taking when I'm walking with my, well, it should be the one, but it's not the one because I use others. Also, a lot of tarot writing in those, and I have many of them here, so I'm not going to show you everything. Not all of my notebooks are tarot related, but many of them are. Here you have one of them. Okay, it's a lot of work with the cards. I have this out because maybe I will be making a video in French about doing the exercises proposed by Mary Greer, so that's the reason why it's here. And my main notebook is this one. It's kind of a diary, isn't it? That I'm using as a journal. Yeah, I think that's what you can say about it. And I do, let me show you. For example, this is from last year, and you can see kind of how I'm working with it and recording my readings and other things that I find relevant. I'm going to avoid showing you cards, you know, spreads from weeks where there's a lot to say, because then it will get more personal. But yes, I'm definitely recording my readings and many other things here, my daily tarot readings. And this is my last week with this one that I've been using starting at the end of August last year. And I'm finishing it right now. I have to get rid of some cards, some months, just because I'm sticking things into it and I really need my spirals to hold on. So that's how I go. That's why I like this brand here. It's Coconut, and I'm going to start this one, and not in August 2023, but in November. And I should be using it for a bit more than a year then. Not really happy of this edition for the year 2023-2024, but I have it. I will maybe go back to another brand later, but yeah. This is my planner, for the planner used as a journal for the year ahead. Yeah, clearly for tarot paraphernalia, it's the things that I have. There are things that I have a lot of, as tarot patches and tarot notebooks. The main one that I would say is my planner slash journal. It's a bit of the hub as well between all of my notebooks when I'm working on the class, on a course. So I'm using another notebook, like this one, for example. I would reference it in my journal when I'm writing something in my grimoire as well. I will reference it there, so it's with it I know if I'm writing elsewhere somehow, kind of. It's not that clear. I'm not that organized, and also having a genetic condition is obviously having a lot of impact on my ability to organize and concentrate and create and work. So yeah. That's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One piece of tarot advice, or a card you wish to embody. I'm going to choose a piece of tarot advice here. Just do you. That's my advice. Don't spend too much time in books or with mentors and so on. Reclaim tarot the way it works for you. And of course, spend time interacting and being interconnected with many other things, but and many other creatures and your environment, your place you're in, and everything. But also, don't let the big tarot teachers or tarot popes or big names, influencers or content creator dictate what you can or cannot do when it comes to tarot. Please feel free and go connect with the deck, go with the decks, bring them outside. There are no rules, break the rules. If there's a rule and you apply it to yourself, try to break it every now and again so that you can expand your horizon, your inner horizon, but also the way that you relate to the world thanks to tarot. And please don't get stuck in one way to do tarot or to understand tarot, and expand. And yeah, don't give up your critical abilities. Don't give them to anybody, and don't forget it. And please think critically and act critically, and don't be scared of the tarot. Just use it, just practice, just listen to it, just be curious. No rules, no rules. A tarot with no rules, tarot with no complex, tarot with no teachers. Yeah, teachers, many teachers, but not big names, you know, like teacher. What's my best tarot teacher? Maybe it's most of the time it's the places I'm at, where I am. That's the spirit of the place. It's the ecosystems here and everything that's going on, and the way that those are my best teachers. And so don't surrender your ability to practice tarot to one human tarot teacher. Never. Please don't do that. Be curious. Be open. Be you. Dare to change, dare to broaden, dare to expand, dare to not be just an individual, but to be rhizomatic, to be myceliatic, to have mycelium that is reaching far behind the surface of the card, be expansive. Yeah, that's what I want to say. That was brief, wasn't it? But that's it for today, and that's probably the one video in English that I'm making before long, a couple of months at least. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope that you can overcome my weird pronunciation in English. Et voilà, à bientôt, see you soon. Don't forget to subscribe. N'oubliez pas de vous abonner. And please be kind to yourself and practice a curious and expansive tarot with roots. Bye!